Ding dong, Danger Russ is gone. Yeah, rejoice, Arizona Cardinals fans. Russell Wilson out in the NFC West. This is the best quarterback in the division now wearing Arizona Cardinals uniform. We'll get into that combo and what Tuesday tells us about the future of Kyler Murray. And the quarterback gets back with his team on social media. Plus, who was tagged and who wasn't? What's it mean for the Arizona Cardinals? We're covering it all on this one rinky-dink episode. It's action-packed. It's Bo Brock, Alex Clancy, Locked On Cardinals.
You are Locked On Cardinals, your daily Arizona Cardinals podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
If this is any indication of what next week is going to look like, my God, this was supposed to be the calm before the free agency storm. There was nothing, no calm. There was nothing. Tuesday was absolutely just bonkers as far as the NFL goes. Bo Brock, Alex Clancy, thank you for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen. And if you think like, hey, the Arizona Cardinals, they didn't make a move on Tuesday, there's a lot of things that are going to impact the Arizona Cardinals from what went down on Tuesday. That was Aaron Rodgers signing an incredible deal with the Green Bay Packers. Now, Aaron Rodgers took to social media to say that, some of the details of the reported deal are not correct, but he is going back to Green Bay. And then, of course, Russell Wilson, he is traded from Seattle to Denver, now a member of the AFC West, and he is going to wear a Broncos uniform, the team that him and the Legion of Boom absolutely just blew the doors off in the Super Bowl a couple years ago for Russell Wilson's lone Super Bowl victory because they didn't run the ball against the Patriots. Make sure you follow along on Twitter at Locked On AZCards, at Bob Rack, at Clancy's Corner for all the fiery hot takes, offseason hot takes. And, Alex, I mean, for initial thoughts, because Russell Wilson leaving the division, it just should have every Cardinals fan borderline, if not just full-blown giddy.
Yeah, and it's funny the Cardinals still played Russell Wilson this year because they traveled to Denver to play the Broncos. So they can't, it's going to be a year removed unless they become like the Carolina Panthers and Detroit Lions, who the Cardinals play seemingly every year. Yeah. Fear of the unknown with John Schneider, you take that with all the draft picks that they have. Their queen bee is gone in the hive. Like, that's a dumb example, but like they don't have any real direction right now. They've got a collection of players, some good talent, but at this point, obviously this is better for the Cardinals, at least for the next handful of years, unless they want to draft a quarterback. I know they traded for Drew Lock as part of the package. If they want to draft a quarterback and, that means that the future of 2 of 4 organizations in the NFC West are young quarterbacks. Even if they want to chill with Drew Lock, we know what his ceiling is. The ceiling is the roof probably for him, and when you have Trey Lance, we have no idea what he's going to be like. And Matthew Stafford is, towards the tail end of his prime, even though they just won a Super Bowl. Kyler Murray seems to be primed to be the best quarterback in this division moving forward. And he may not be right now. If you want to argue Matthew Stafford, it's hard to say no after what we watched down the stretch for both teams, respectively. But yeah, this is a win. And I don't know if they're done yet, Seattle. Like I tweeted out months ago. First of all, I called this 18 months ago. I'm like, he's not going to play for the Seahawks after the 2021 season. They got injured. He got injured, that whole thing. When you call out players and you tell your agent where you would like to go if you were to be traded, that's a wrap, man. So like you have guys like Jamal Adams and DK Metcalf, like guys that could garner heavy draft pick compensation to come back. I just don't know if they're done yet. Or if they're like, we'll run it back one time and then, if it doesn't work, then we can start shipping.
Right. It's not gonna work. I mean, very rarely do you see these big packages of picks that come in and really equal the impact, especially at the most important position in sports. Like very rarely do you see that pay off for teams that are sending a franchise caliber quarterback, just as talented as Russell Wilson is, even at his stage in his career. Like Seattle's got a big time rebuild in their future. And as you mentioned, John Schneider, I mean, before he drafted Russell Wilson, which, hat off to him for doing that. He signed Matt Flynn to a pretty lucrative deal before that. Like, as far as he hasn't had to evaluate the quarterback position, and now he's going to have to do it in a pretty tough draft where there aren't a lot of guys that people view as, impact makers right away from that position. But you're right. I mean, and hopefully, the yard sale continues for Seattle, and you start to see their pieces continue to be sold off to the highest bidder. A lot of people want to start to talk about like Metcalf and Lockett and maybe some of the stars on the defensive side of the football. Like, we don't see a lot of interdivision trades. I don't think Seattle wants to face, a player that they had under contract twice a season and help the Rams, the Cardinals, or the 49ers. As far as the question goes for Kyler Murray, can he take a stranglehold on being the top quarterback in this division? Unfortunately, that's up for debate. As you mentioned, Matthew Stafford came in and got his job done. Why he was brought into Los Angeles for the Rams. He got them a Super Bowl title. He did lead the league in interceptions. And I think as far as Kyler Murray, he has a lot to prove still, despite his 3-year resume. That's very impressive. It's up for grabs. And if you're an Arizona Cardinals fan, and if you're Kyler Murray, who wants an extension, could be close and be on the precipice of an extension, he has to play like he's the best the quarterback in the division in 2022 if he really wants that honor, because nobody's going to let him just get it or hand that out like it's Halloween candy at this point, especially how the Arizona Cardinals finished.
Yeah, well put. It's not, there's not a foregone conclusion here, but so much of professional sports is timing and life in general, but we're talking about sports so much. If Kevin Durant was drafted now and not right around when LeBron James was drafted, that around time, Kevin Durant would be the best player in the NBA, and it wouldn't be like he would be getting his flowers a lot more than he did because of LeBron James. You could say that about so many, like Peyton Manning around Tom Brady, even though they were more equals than, one of the other. Tommy just has more rings. But look at this timing for the Cardinals, okay? There is a team that just won a Super Bowl. Who knows what that's going to be like? Who don't have a real future as of right now, draft pick wise. You have the 49ers. You don't know. So they're most likely going to trade Jimmy Garoppolo, even though he's having shoulder surgery. And does that mean Trey Lance is going to be the guy? Is he ready? No idea. Then there is a void at quarterback in the other division. There's one thing we do know about the Arizona Cardinals. They have Kyler Murray. They have DeAndre Hopkins. They have one of the best centers in the NFL, and they have one of the best safeties in the NFL. They have pillars in place for the future. And that's not what you can say about, and I know San Francisco made a great run, and they could have made the Super Bowl if they played a little bit better down the stretch against the Rams. But you're starting to see like the door opening up for possibilities moving forward, when it used to be it's the Rams, it's the Seahawks, and then it's the Cardinals and the 49ers. The 49ers have taken that step forward. Can the Cardinals? And it's going to be very interesting to see for the next handful of years. And I'm assuming Kyler Murray is going to get extended before the season starts at this rate. Because Michael Bidwell is going to see, you know what? Screw this S. We're not going to deal with all of this. We're going to do it now, and then 4 years down the road, if we have to deal with this, we have to deal with this, but not now.
I mean, an extension can come down and this episode becomes obsolete. Like, it could come down at any moment at this point. I mean, what Aaron Rodgers was able to how he helped out the Green Bay Packers as far as their cap health, and the Packers were able to franchise tag Devontae Adams, and there were 8 players that were tagged, and we'll get into that and how that impacts the Arizona Cardinals. But I wouldn't be shocked. It would probably be the least shocking news that went down before free agency began, as far as the Arizona Cardinals and Kyler Murray working on an extension. But it could, we'll see how they want to play those cards. Let's get into as far as more so the Rodgers contract, and then what Wilson's deal, the trade for Wilson means to Kyler Murray and the Arizona Cardinals, plus the salary or the franchise tag guys, and what that means to the Arizona Cardinals. It's a Wednesday edition here of Locked On Cardinals. My mom texted me that she got the Built Bar. She ordered some Built Bars, and she's on board. She's like, raspberry Built Bars, the truth, son. You're now my favorite child.
Yeah. Can we get full disclosure here? Bo Brock's mom sent us the nicest DM ever on our Locked On Cardinals Facebook messengers. Those are 2 of the best looking gentlemen I see on podcasts.
So you know that she speaks the truth.
She does.
She can tell no lies. She loves the raspberry Built Bar, and if you haven't tried Built Bar for yourself, what are you doing? Have you if you're a Built Bar connoisseur, have you tried the puffs? If you haven't, you missed out because it's a protein-infused marshmallow. They're fluffy, they're marshmallowy, and they're not just a protein bar. They're like an experience. They're a treat. They're covered in 100% real chocolate, but without compromising the nutritional benefits of a protein bar. It's only 130 calories, 4 grams of sugar, 4 net carbs, and 17 grams of muscle packing protein. That's what you get from Built Bar on a consistent basis. Compare that to a candy bar. You're just putting trash in your body and you're getting those extra empty calories and you're gaining weight. You're not helping yourself out. You can also help yourself out like Mama Brock did. She went to the website, built.com, and she used a little promo code that I gifted to her and we gift to you on a daily basis, Locked15. Get 15% off your order. That's using the promo code LOCKED15 for 15% off at built.com. Locked On Cardinals on YouTube, free and available across all platforms. Also, especially you want to check out the Locked On NFL podcast, free and available on all platforms and podcasts. Check them out on YouTube as well. Locked On experts covering the biggest stories around the NFL every Monday through Friday in less than 30 minutes. Alex and Tyler, they're on deck tomorrow. I'm sure they've got a doozy of an episode headed your way. Check them out every Thursday. I'm on Mondays. And just look, we're going to get you geared up for NFL free agency. It's just getting started. 8 players were tagged. I was surprised to see, what was it? A couple tight ends, a couple wide receivers. Were all tagged, and it kind of makes things a little bit tougher for the Arizona Cardinals. You had Devontae Adams, Chris Godwin, and you had the 2 tight ends, Mike Gesicki from Miami, David Njoku, and then, of course, actually third, Dalton Schultz from the Cowboys, who had a nice little season, over 800 yards receiving. It was interesting that there was no conversation about a debate we had the other day about Zach Ertz.
Yeah.
Right, just looking at who was tagged and who wasn't tagged and how people view playmaking tight ends. Maybe the Cardinals are confident they can get an extension or a deal done with Zach Ertz, or maybe I don't know. I don't know what their feelings are on the player that they acquired last season. Orlando Brown, he was tagged from the Chiefs. Cam Robinson, another tackle, was tagged by the Jags, and Jesse Bates, the safety, was tagged by the Bengals. And that does it. Arizona Cardinals they chose not to tag anybody as the deadline passed, so that doesn't really impact them. What did impact the Cardinals on Tuesday was the deals with quarterbacks. You know, what Aaron Rodgers making, a reported 4-year, $200 million contract means teams are willing to utilize more and more of the percentage of their salary cap on the most important position in sports. Now, are Aaron Rodgers and Kyler Murray the same? Does that mean that Kyler Murray is going to make closer to $50 million per season? Probably not. You hope that the market corrects itself a little bit, and maybe the Arizona Cardinals are able to be part of that solution. And Aaron Rodgers is at an interesting point in his career. He's not a 24-year-old quarterback. He's 38, going to be 39, and he was really pressing and utilizing leverage of either retiring or forcing his way out of Green Bay. And Green Bay's hands were tied as far as their cap was concerned. If Aaron Rodgers retired, he would have absolutely torpedoed that franchise. And then the Russell Wilson deal, Alex, like what Russell Wilson was able to bring back to the Seattle Seahawks, the 5 picks in 3 players. I mean, that's just the baseline now for any quarterback deal. So if things go south for the Arizona Cardinals, there is, the potential of getting such a king's ransom in return.
Yeah, but we need to pump the brakes here. A couple things. One, I think there was an impact for the Cardinals not tagging somebody, because this means, all in all, now we don't know everything. Okay, they may have a thing in place. They're working out, the crossing the T's and dotting the lowercase J's, according to Wayne's World and Kevin Pollak. But most franchise tag, not most, a lot of the franchise tags that we've seen is just teams calling dibs on the players they already have. Chris Godwin's probably going to get a longer deal. And then so is Devontae Adams ain't going anywhere. So like with that, sure. But it would have been nice to see just a little, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I feel like the Cardinals are going to lose out on Zach Ertz, and that's a big deal. I feel like the Cardinals are going to lose out on James Conner, and that's a big deal. We don't know if that's true. We don't know if I'm jumping to conclusions here. That's number one. Number two, Kyler Murray doesn't deserve Aaron Rodgers' money. Like, let's get that right. Aaron Rodgers, even though he's Brett Favre 2.0 for so many different reasons, he's the new age version of Brett Favre with social media and the money. I know that he didn't leave like Brett Favre did, but it's the same thing. It's me first. It's me first. It's me first. They've won one Super Bowl, wildly underperformed in the playoffs, but he's going to get $50 million, $153 million guaranteed total. Kyler Murray doesn't deserve that amount of money. Like, let's be clear, right? He doesn't deserve that yet. He's played well. His trajectory is sky high, but he doesn't deserve that money. He doesn't deserve the money that Russell Wilson's won. They both won Super Bowls, and this was on their third contracts. Kyler Murray deserves a Deshaun Watson-like contract that's not the next great one. I don't like this whole thing where it's like, oh, he's the next one, so he needs to get the most money. Why? Pay him $35 million a year and call it a day. Like, I don't understand why it has to be that way.
Well, I think that Josh Allen is probably the blueprint more so than Aaron Rodgers, because you're right as far as where they are in their career and what they've accomplished. And I know that Aaron Rodgers has had his shortcomings in the postseason outside of that one season when they won the Super Bowl, and that was 10 plus years ago now. He has a lot of hardware. He's the back-to-back NFL MVP, and yeah, he's at the tail end of his career, where this is his last chance to make money, where Kyler Murray has ample opportunity to make that money, even if he leaves any money on the table to help the team kind of build something. And you would hope that there is that he won't be reluctant to give up the opportunity to maybe spend on a player, and he doesn't absorb it all up. But no, I mean, and you're right. I mean, these guys have accomplished way more, and he's going to get more of what we're seeing guys sign after their third season. It's not going to be a guy who's signing, his last contract of the NFL, like Aaron Rodgers did with the Green Bay Packers on Tuesday. So look, and if, like, to my point, if things go south, if he's going to dig in, and there is a deal, and we know what that deal looks like, and it's absurd. And, you hope that the Arizona Cardinals don't have to, figure one out like that. But if it does happen, if a catastrophe happens and they have to cut bait, 5 picks and play now caliber players are coming in return. It's not just picks anymore, and in the blueprints there. But I doubt that's going to happen. I think the Arizona Cardinals, I think that the Cliff Kingsbury extension was a precursor, absolutely, to the Arizona Cardinals locking in Kyler Murray. And also, this could also be a precursor, Kyler Murray getting back with the Arizona Cardinals on social media. Let's get into that conversation. Locked On Cardinals, Bo Brock, Alex Clancy. Thanks for hanging out with us on a Wednesday here. Bo Brock, Alex Clancy. Follow along on Twitter at Locked On AZCards, at Clancy's Corner, at Bob Brack. Kyler Murray getting his Instagram game back going. There he is in Arizona Cardinals uniforms. You got several pictures that feature the old Redbirds. It's no longer purged from his social media accounts. It's very exciting, everybody. He went to the Facebook.com and he put his relationship status from it's complicated to in a relationship with the Arizona Cardinals, basically. Isn't that exciting? Are we all good now? Let's just put pen to paper on an extension. That we're pretty much we figured it all out. There's nothing left to figure it out, right? There's no more couples therapy for this. It's all sunshine and roses going forward.
It's just, it makes me look kind of dumb because I made such a big deal out of it. Thanks a lot, Kyler. But I don't think we made a big. I don't think it was. It wasn't nothing about it. Yeah,
it wasn't nothing.
Yeah, it wasn't nothing. And you know what? I don't want to be the person that waits till things happen and then reacts to it. I'd like to be, I read these tea leaves. I think this is going this way. And just like the Russell Wilson thing, I'd rather do that than react and be like, oh, told you that wasn't going to happen. Why are we doing that? That's not the business that we're in. Yeah, cool. You know what? somebody got in his ear. Hopefully somebody got in Eric Burkhardt's ear. Like, you know what? Maybe don't be like Aaron Rodgers. Try that. See where your likability scale is. Russell Wilson was listless last year. Even for him, he was bland, except for week 17 against the Cardinals, where he showed, because maybe he knew that was the last game he was going to play as a Seahawk, where they played that game like it was their last, because it ended up being like, maybe he grew up. Maybe this was nothing. Maybe this was a ploy all along. Maybe Peter Schrager, who tweeted out, because we're recording this a day before, like, we didn't want to waste any time doing this. Peter Schrager tweeted out 2 looking eyes. Like, that could be Kyler Murray getting an extension. We may have to redo this whole contract, this whole podcast. We have no idea. But it wasn't nothing, and it's still something. But to what degree, we still don't know.
Yeah. It's still a happy time to be in a car. Things are getting better. Like, there's been progress since the end of the season. One of the main villains of the Cardinals over the past decade is gone. He's now in the AFC. Instead of seeing him twice, you'll see him once in a interconference battle, and then you'll have to potentially get to face Drew Lock twice next year, which should be W's, but you never know if this team is more like the team that finished instead of the team that started. But, the Arizona Cardinals, after Tuesday, things are looking bright. Things look more challenging, though, as far as this offseason with the 8 players that were tagged. I continue to, I think with the players getting, especially the wideouts, getting franchise tags and working out extensions, the wide receiver market doesn't look as appetizing as it did going into this offseason. Like, who's available now? Like, Mike Williams signed a 3-year, $60 million deal. He's staying in Los Angeles with the Chargers. Like, the best wide receiver, just from reputation, is Allen Robinson, coming off a horrible year with the Chicago Bears. The Arizona Cardinals are going to have to do their due diligence on all these guys. Their scouting needs to be on point, and they're going to have to figure out, which of these guys on the free agent market is going to be able to fit financially with the cap, and who's going to be able to, upgrade where they came from last season. And it doesn't look easy. I mean, you don't have those slam dunk options anymore.
What are my 2 words, Bo? Who's going to be the saving grace for this wide receiving crew?
The saving grace. Wow.
Jameson, don't call me Chowder Crowder.
Yeah, I know. He'd be a nice
I know.
piece. Yeah.
No, I know. And I'm just kidding. Like, yeah, like, it's Allen Robinson through like 80% no fault of his own. That was just a bad quarterback room last year. I mean, and Andy Dalton playing
calling was sucked too.
Yeah, I mean, Andy Dalton, like, he's played with big name receivers. Yeah, but I mean, he and AJ Green were humming for a long time, and I know it was a couple years removed, but like, that was just bad. That was just bad.
They had him playing in the slot half the time. I mean, he's a redemption project. Like, I think he could even come in and play the AJ Green role better than AJ Green. He's younger than AJ Green. If you get him on the right price point, but I don't know if that happens anymore with who's getting tagged and who's going to be available. That's why I say, 23rd overall, it's looking nice. It's a talented wide receiver crop. I think that's probably, the direction that they need to go as far as that pick is concerned. It's just, especially when you're going to see the contracts that are handed out next week for some of these wide receivers, and you're going to be like, he got what? But, I think I'm concerned more about the outside wide receiver position, because you're right. There are options like Jamison Crowder. There's guys like Cole Beasley, Braxton Berrios, like guys that can play the slot if they decide to move off of Christian Kirk, who was 3rd in the NFL in slot yardage last year, that they could bring in that could just be target monsters for Kyler Murray and be safety blankets for the Cardinals and their offense. But outside gets a little bit more tricky, because guys like Mike Williams would have been pretty cool options for Kyler Murray and crew.
Yeah. But I mean, they're totally going to draft a wide receiver at 23.
It's going to be awesome.
I mean, now, obviously, like, there are going to be offensive linemen that are going to be, able to sign. Like, it's just tough. Like, it's tough because the going rate for an offensive lineman is astronomically higher, obviously, than it was even 10 years ago.
Mhm.
So it's just, can you warrant spending, 20 mil for 2 years on an offensive lineman and have it not work out? Like, would you rather have a bust at a wide receiver position or an offensive line position when you're allocating those funds? Like, I don't know. Like, both are bad, obviously, but
Right.
which one's easier to stomach? I don't know.
Probably wide receiver because it doesn't get your quarterback potentially killed.
Yeah, that's
Um,
true.
but we'll continue this conversation. Things are just heating up as far as the NFL offseason. We're not even into free agency. Tampering period begins before you know it. Arizona Cardinals are going to have reported signings. We're going to have all of the updated breaking news coming your way. Locked On AZ Cards, Locked On Network. That's where you want to follow on Twitter at Clancy's Corner and at Bob Rack, obviously, for opinions on those moves and news. Can't wait for it. And other than that, man, I got nothing. It was an exciting Tuesday. Rodgers not going anywhere. Russ, he's out. He's gone. AFC West probably becomes does the Russ move take the AFC West? Does it jump ahead of the NFC West as far as the toughest division in the NFL?
Well,
I mean,
see, the thing that's weird about it is, yes, the NFC West is no longer. I don't think, unless the
because
Cardinals
you have two questions, like there's two franchises, as you pointed out, that have question marks at quarterback. Like, the
you're
Niners,
only as good as your weakest team, really, in these divisional conversations. Like,
Mhm.
you look at, like, if the Steelers get a quarterback, okay, you look at the AFC North now. The Bengals are good, the Ravens are good, the Steelers are good, the Browns, we'll see. They've got a pretty good roster. That's a really tough division. Like, the bad divisions are the AFC South, the NFC East, the NFC North, kind of. They're getting better with Kirky at all. But the best, it's got to be the AFC West, right? The AFC East is really good also, but the AFC West now has 3 of the top 11 quarterbacks in the NFL. You can make an argument that Russell Wilson in the right system is top 10 still. But
yeah, oh yeah,
with those wide receivers and those running backs, like, sweet mother.
Jerry Jeudy, Cortland
Jeudy,
Sutton,
Tim Patrick. Like, Tim Patrick could be the new Demaryius Thomas. Like, that offense. Good for Cody.
Mm-hmm.
Good for Cody Rourke and
Cody
his
Rourke
boy
covers
over
the
there.
Broncos. Yeah,
The Locked On Broncos. Good for him. He deserves it.
Does he?
Does he? Yeah. Well, listen, it helped the Cardinals. This is, like, all in all, it's good. Like, so jumping back, because you asked 3 good questions in a row in the second segment, like, because Aaron Rodgers got $50 million a year, around, that's really good because it's not competitive for what Kyler Murray should be getting. Like, if he got 42 or whatever, he got, like, Drew Brees, who got $60 million, like, right when he signed that contract, the 20 mil and the 40 mil guaranteed, the $20 million signing bonus, that was years ago with New Orleans. It wasn't that. So it's out of the realm of normalcy for a quarterback who hasn't gotten his second contract to get money like that. So that's good for the Cardinals. That's not like, oh, you kind of got to look at one and the other. You can't.
Yeah, we're looking more forward to free agency, maybe some potential deals in the next couple of days. Just getting started this week on Locked On Cardinals. Thanks for tuning in, making us your first listen. Now make your second listen Locked On NFL Draft. Eric Crocker, Ryan Tracy. They're going to hook you up with some great insight as far as the prospects coming out. They're going to hear their names called this spring. Make sure you're following along on Twitter at Locked On AZCards, at Bob Rack, and at Clancy's Corner. Hit us up anytime on social media. DMs are open, or just tweet it at us. We respond. We're not just sending things out into the Twitter sphere and then closing the app. We promise we don't do that. We like to continue the conversation there with you. Subscribe to the YouTube page. Big thank you. We'll talk to you guys on Thursday.